Spiritual awakening is often described as a moment of pure light, deep peace, or a sudden burst of divine clarity. People imagine it as the beginning of a beautiful new chapter where everything instantly feels aligned and meaningful. But for many, the real experience is far more intense, far more confusing, and far more disruptive than they ever expected. When awakening truly begins, it rarely feels like a blessing. It feels like losing control. It feels like life is taking away everything you thought was solid. The first shock comes when the familiar world around you suddenly becomes unfamiliar. The things you used to enjoy no longer feel the same. The goals you once chased seem unnecessary. The people you are attached to now feel distant. You start questioning your job, your relationships, your beliefs, and even the identity you worked so hard to build. This is not because you have become careless. It is because awakening shifts your inner lens so dramatically that the outside world cannot stay the same. Awakening exposes the truth beneath your routines. You begin to see how many of your choices were made out of fear, habit, pressure, or the desire to fit in. And when you see this clearly, something inside you breaks, not in a destructive way, but in a liberating one. The illusion that you must live according to expectations collapses. The idea that you must pretend, perform, or perfect yourself collapses. And with every collapse, you feel as if another piece of your life is disappearing. This is why awakening feels like loss. It is not that life is punishing you. It is that life is removing the parts of you that were never authentic. But in the moment, it doesn't feel like purification. It feels like destruction. You feel disconnected from the world you once knew. You may feel a sudden lack of motivation, a heaviness in your mind, or a strange emotional distance from everything around you. This stage is frightening because it challenges your deepest sense of identity. Your old self begins to die. Your old reality begins to crumble. Yet you don't see a new self or a new reality emerging yet. All you feel is the empty space left behind. And that emptiness feels like losing everything that once defined you. Many people panic at this stage. They think something is wrong with them. They think they are falling apart or failing at life. But in truth, the shock of awakening is a sign that you are beginning to see beyond the surface. You are noticing the artificial layers that once blinded you. You are waking up from the automatic life you didn't even realize you were living. This shock is the doorway. It is the moment your soul pulls you toward a more truthful existence. And though it begins with loss, confusion, and emotional discomfort, it is actually the first step toward becoming who you really are. Awakening doesn't destroy your life. It shakes it so you can rebuild it with awareness instead of illusion. When a spiritual awakening begins, one of the most unsettling experiences is the collapse of the old self. This collapse is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, internal, and deeply personal. It happens slowly, then suddenly, and you feel it not just in your thoughts, but in your emotions, your decisions, and even your body. It is the moment when the person you believed you were starts dissolving, and you can't stop it, even if you try. The old self is built from years of conditioning. It is shaped by family expectations, cultural beliefs, fears you inherited, and roles you were taught to play. You may not realize how much of your identity was constructed by external forces until awakening exposes it. Suddenly, the you that once felt normal begins to feel foreign. You look at your own life and wonder, was I really living this way? Did I truly want this? Or was I just following the script handed to me? This questioning is the first crack in the structure of your old identity. And once the crack appears, the collapse begins. Old desires lose their power. The ambitions that once drove you now feel empty or irrelevant. The relationships that felt stable start revealing their imbalances. The habits you relied on for comfort no longer soothe you. It feels like someone switched off the energy that used to fuel your life. This loss of interest is not laziness. It is detachment. Your consciousness is pulling away from what no longer aligns with your truth. But the collapse isn't gentle. It brings confusion, emotional sensitivity, and sometimes loneliness. You feel as if you're shedding multiple layers of yourself at once, yet you don't have a new identity to replace them with. It's like standing in front of a mirror and recognizing your face, but not recognizing the person behind it. The ego interprets this dissolving as danger. It panics because its survival depends on maintaining your old identity. It whispers thoughts like, "You're losing yourself. What if you're making a mistake? What if you never feel normal again? What if you're breaking your life apart?" These thoughts come from fear, not truth. They are the ego's final attempts to hold on to control, yet awakening continues. It strips away the lies you believed. It removes the masks you wore to feel accepted. It exposes the emotional wounds you hid from. Every collapse is actually a cleansing. Every ending is a release. This is why many people feel grief during this stage. Not because something external is lost, but because the version of themselves they carried for years is dying. Even if that version was built on illusion, it was familiar. And losing something familiar always hurts. But beneath the collapse is a quiet intelligence. Your consciousness knows what it is doing. It is dismantling the false so the real can emerge. It is unbuilding the life you created unconsciously, so you can finally create one consciously. When the old self crumbles, what you're truly losing is everything that was never authentically you. And though the process is painful, it is also the first step toward freedom, the beginning of rediscovering your true nature. One of the most difficult and misunderstood phases of spiritual awakening is the space in between. The void, the gap, the silent middle ground where you no longer recognize the old version of yourself. Yet, the new version has not fully emerged. It is a strange, disorienting experience, almost like floating between two worlds. Physically, you are here, but internally you feel suspended, disconnected, and unsure of where you belong. This phase feels like a pause that you did not choose. Life stops giving you the same emotional responses. Your past loses its meaning, but your future hasn't revealed itself. You want clarity, but you only get silence. You want direction, but all paths look blurry. This emptiness is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of transformation. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. There is a moment when the old skin is too tight, too uncomfortable, but the new skin is not fully revealed. Or imagine a seed buried underground. Before it rises into the sunlight, it must sit in darkness. That darkness is not death, it is preparation. The same is true in awakening. During this in-between stage, you may feel emotionally numb or overly sensitive. Some days you feel peaceful, other days overwhelmed. Your energy fluctuates without reason. You might lose interest in social interactions, ambitions, hobbies, or routines you once relied on. At times you may even question your sanity because nothing feels like it used to. But this emotional instability is a natural response to internal reconstruction. You are letting go of an identity that was built over years. Your mind is learning to detach from old narratives. Your heart is releasing old attachments. Your energy is shifting away from patterns that no longer serve your growth. This inner rewiring takes time. It cannot be rushed and it cannot be forced. This is why the void feels like nothingness, because you are being emptied. But emptiness is not a punishment, it is a clearing. Life is carving out space within you so your new self has room to grow. You cannot pour new water into a cup that is still filled with the old. The most painful part of this stage is that you feel alone, even when you are surrounded by people, not because others don't care, but because they cannot understand what is happening inside you. Awakening is an internal journey. No one can walk through the void for you. But the presence of this void is proof that you are evolving. Many people try to escape this stage by going back to their old habits, relationships, or lifestyles. But once awakened, you cannot